Hi, welcome back, guys. It's Dr. Shirlea North from NorthStar Physical Therapy. And today we're going to piggyback off of the previous podcast. So feel free to go back and listen all about intercourse, sex, and dyspareunia, which is the pain with penetration. And we talked about in there about positional changes, right? And that we may need to adjust the position of pelvis to help with that symptom. And so I wanted to continue the conversation about positioning and about a position that we often find ourselves in, which is sitting. How many of us drive to and from work, drive the kids around the whole world and back, drive when we go on vacation, we sit in front of a computer screen for work, and then we hang out on the couch and like Netflix binge watch. That's what I do during the holidays. And so we find ourselves in this sitting position a lot, but is it appropriate in terms of positioning and really like ergonomic? Now, I know a lot of people hear ergonomic set up for work, but do we really do it? Do we ergonomically set up our seating arrangement in the car? There's all these adjustable sitting chairs and setups. Well, do we actually do it? And do we do it correctly? So I'm sure you can Google ergonomic sitting, ergonomic work setup. And it's the whole 90-90 rule, right? Where your feet are flat on the floor, your knees are at 90 degrees, your hips are at 90 degrees, and so are your elbows are at 90 degrees. But what does that really mean? And is that really comfortable? A lot of times I can get folks set up like that, where we have that quote unquote good ergonomic setup for work, but do we have that in our car? Right? Where it's, yeah, at work I do okay. Or at work I maybe sit on like those yoga balls or Swiss balls, and that helps with my posture and everything. But then I go into the car or go sit on the couch and all goes to shit, right? Because life is soft and comfy and slouch and lean back and really get into that comfy mode. But is that really good for someone that has pain with sitting, or we're working on postural alignment and things like that? And so oftentimes I'm asking folks more questions about maybe the sitting position itself, like at their workstation or at home with their sofa or couch. And a lot of times folks need to help build the stability or help build the support up to them rather than their body trying to find it. For example, in your work chair, you want to make sure, yes, it's a good height, it's a good depth, and so is your monitors and your keyboard and all that kind of stuff. But then look at the chair itself and what kind of lumbar or low back support do you have? If you don't have a huge curve there naturally, then why are you forcing it into a curve by putting that support or jamming up against your back, right? You may not need as much of support. So you might need to have that kind of backed off a little bit. So that way, yes, your bottom is all the way back and the support is where you are, not you trying to find it and slouching back and finding it. Because now we're putting that pelvis in a posterior tilt, or you're hanging out on your coccyx, your tailbone, and you wonder why your low back hurts whenever you stand. We also want to make sure you're not sitting for that long, right? You're going maybe like on every like hour to 2 hours, you're getting up and you're walking around, at least stand up or at least adjust and move a little bit, reposition and have a seat. But we want to make sure the support of the chair is to your body versus your body trying to find the quote unquote support. So sometimes it is maybe beefing it up with a pillow or towel roll, and sometimes it's like taking that away a little bit so that way you are in a good position. All right. So at work is a big sitting position. Toileting is another sitting position for those of us that sit when we urinate, and for all of us that have to sit when we defecate. Sitting on the toilet is also a great avenue that helpful physical therapists have a great impact on, because if we have difficulty with evacuation, if we like constipation, like our outlet syndrome, right? Those kind of words. So yes, the squatty potty is a real thing, right? Or putting your feet up on a stool puts our knees above the level of our hips. And so that way it helps relax the back part of our pelvic floor, helps reduce that tension. We're also breathing appropriately. We can maybe adjust how our knees are positioned a little bit to help open up the back part of our pelvic floor, to help with that outlet part, to help with that defecation. So sitting for toileting is a very functional and impactful place where pelvic floor physical therapists can make a huge impact on making that activity easier for you. Sitting also for those of us with a vagina and menstruating, in order to insert and remove a menstrual device, sitting is a great position for that as well. And so if you're already sitting there on the toilet, this is a place where insertion can be made easier and removal because of the position that you're already in for either urinating or defecating. So sitting for menstrual device usage is a very good functional place. And that's also an aspect that pelvic floor physical therapists can assist with inserting and removing, so it's as pain-free as possible. The last thing we want to talk about in terms of sitting for being a very functional position is, yes, sex. So that sitting position for the penetrated person that's being penetrated, well, again, that's vaginally or rectally, that is a very good functional way to help maybe control the depth of penetration, so it's as pain-free as possible. Keep in mind that when you are sitting like that, the angle of entry for what's being penetrated, whether that's a penis, a dildo, a finger, whatever, that angle of entry might also need to adjust to a little bit more of a straight up versus if you angle when you're in that sitting position, if you angle forward with your pelvis or angle back with your pelvis, the angle of entry also needs to adjust for that change in pelvis there. Okay, or else that can be really painful for both receiving and penetrating. Also, you have to keep in mind that within that sitting position, your hip and your glute muscles are also going to be engaged to help keep you up. So if it is a position of comfort, go for it. If it is a position of discomfort, make sure you're talking to a pelvic floor physical therapist, and we may suggest a totally different position, or maybe suggest different positions for knees, hands, hips. So that way we're trying to reduce the tension on the pelvic floor, but keeping it as stable as possible. So we might utilize maybe some more support with pillows or things like that, or maybe in like sitting on a soft bed versus maybe on a firmer surface, or maybe sitting on top of partner is in a chair versus lying down, and how that angle also adjusts for that too. So I just listed off 4 main activities that we do in sitting. Work sitting, toilet sitting for those of us that have vagina with menstruating, for that insertion and removal of a device, we're sitting, and then also sex and intercourse, we utilize that same position. So that sitting position is very functional for many different things, and is absolutely within the realm of pelvic floor physical therapists to work on all 4 of these activities within sitting, so that way all those activities are as pain-free as possible, don't cause any issues for you. And so that is definitely something, an avenue that reaching out to a pelvic floor physical therapist, if any of those 4 things, toileting, work, menstrual device usage, and sex, if they're painful in a sitting position, reach out to a pelvic floor physical therapist. Feel free to reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to do a virtual consultation with you wherever you are in the country to help guide you, maybe some things to consider or some things to adjust for, so that way those activities aren't painful. So I hope you learned some quick little tidbits about sitting in this episode. And until next time, guys, see you then.